Hi everyone, welcome to another episode here at Lean in Manila. So today our topic will be embracing change and building essential professional skills. So this will be an interview with Doreen Cooper. But before we bring her in, maybe Francis, you can share what she does and who Doreen is.
Yes, we're very excited to talk to Doreen. She's an international learning facilitator for communication and personal development. She's the author of Adulting, Five Secrets to Embracing Change in Life and Career. And she's a professional speaker, an events host, and a vlogger. She provides live talks, live training, online and printed content to help you find greater success in life and work by gaining confidence, having stronger interpersonal and self-development skills, and communicating with impact.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's bring in Doreen Cooper. Hi Doreen, it's nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Hi, Ginger. It's really good to see you. Yes, it has felt like ages, and I know that you've had your second baby as well since we
Yes, and you're married now. Yeah, so we have an interesting topic no, today. So we're going to discuss embracing change and building essential professional skills. I know that you're doing a lot of things, Doreen. Maybe like let's start by you introducing yourself first.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Doreen Cooper Medina, and I've had the privilege of working as a training consultant, or you can call it, some call it corporate educators. There you go. And I also work as a professional speaker, and I'm a content creator as well. So those are the three, generally, the different things that I do fall into those three categories. And it's wonderful to be here with everyone today.
Wow. Like as an educator, Doreen, I know you started like way back no. So I've known you since I think 2016. So how did you start your career in this particular profession?
That's a really hard question to answer, Ginger. I'll be honest, because I would like to think that my my start really came from home when I was a child because my mother is a trainer as well. So, yeah, so the exposure really started when I was a kid. I saw what she was like. She was training farmers. My mom worked with the United Nations for a very long time, more than 30 years. And I saw how she would go into the field because sometimes she would bring me with her and how she would train at the grassroots level. And I really appreciated those experiences, seeing those things, but I never saw myself as a trainer until much later on. Although, yes, it was that. And then my grandmother was a speech professor. So she started training me how to speak at a young age, like a very young age, as early as I could start doing like oral reading. She was already training me on grammar and pronunciation and enunciation, among other things, as well as spacing. And it was just all of these different things that she was training me on, I think even before I was 5 years old. So with those things, those also helped mold my choices. I took up communication related courses for undergrad and graduate studies. And then when I was at my first job, I remember there was a moment I was sitting in a training program. I was still working with a retail company back then. It was specifically in makeup. I was a brand assistant for some makeup and skincare brands. And I remember there was a moment I was sitting in training, and the trainer, I was looking at her. I was like, this is so interesting. I think I can do what she's doing, and I think I can do it well. And that was such a bold thought because I had no experience doing training before. And even though I had my exposure as a child, I never actually, you know, actually experienced
Wanted to.
doing it or and even wanting it. Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Francis. So yeah, so that's how it started. And then I started looking for work in training. After a few months after the job, I left. Sorry, a few months after that incident or that experience, I left and I joined another company where I was in human resources. And I took care of recruitment training and events management. So I think that that's what led to my work now, that I work freelance. I work as a training consultant, and I work with different organizations, both mostly private, but sometimes I also work with government in helping take care of their concerns in regard to how their employees can become better at the different skills, attitudes, and mindset that they need to become successful in the work that they do.
Okay, that was very interesting, Doreen. I wanted to ask, so you have a long history pala of being exposed to women who train other people. So, what are the most rewarding or some of the most rewarding moments of your career as a learning facilitator also and a professional speaker? And then hindi lang speaking, but you also wrote a book. So you're an author also. So what's the best things that you've experienced?
Right. So I think, Francis, it's most rewarding when people reach out to me and tell me how the work that I've done has positively impacted them. A very clear example would be just a few weeks ago, an American lady reached out to me via email, and she said that she saw my post on LinkedIn and said that it helped her through a difficult time in her life because she has been trying to find work for the longest time. She has been looking for opportunities, they haven't been coming. And I can't remember the exact post, like what exactly it was that she saw, but she sent me a very interesting email about her life and how what she read, like what I posted, was able to help her emotionally and also help inspire her to keep going. And I remember now, I posted something in support of my former colleagues who got laid off because there was a major layoff initiative that happened with my previous employer. And I remember that I posted something about how if anybody needed a referral or needed, just support, like if you want to just have a catch-up session with me, or if you need a job referral, if somebody needs me to connect them with a potential employer, then I'd be more than happy to do that. And she saw that, and yes, she was like, oh, this is so inspiring, thank you for offering something like this on LinkedIn. And she also said something about how if I heard of anything or could hear of anything from the United States or from the area where she lives, and she would be happy to be considered for any opportunities. So it's moments like that when you feel that the work that you do is able to touch even one life at a time. And I really appreciate that. Of course, in my workshops, sometimes people come up to you as well, or they send you a message privately afterwards. It's the same with writing a book also. Sometimes you get messages about how somebody was moved to tears by a certain segment that really resonated with them. So it's those small moments, to be honest. We're grateful for the recognitions, don't get me wrong. We really appreciate those. But I find that I get really, truly touched in those small moments when people reach out to you and say how your work was able to positively influence them.
Wow. You know what, Doreen? I'm always at awe, like when you speak. Like ever since I met you, like I knew like this lady is amazing. Like she helps a lot of people. She really like helps them with their job and with and presenting no the opportunities to them as well. So with the multitude of people that you've come across, I know like in terms of like job opportunities or career opportunities, you have like a lot of different paths that you would take as an individual, right? So if you're teaching like professional skills, like what do you think are the top three professional skills like a person should learn more of so that they could grab those opportunities?
That's really hard as well to answer because, to be honest, Ginger,
Yeah.
there's so many skills that
Yes,
people should be
exactly.
learning, right?
Yeah.
There are lists that come out everywhere. But I think if one really wants to get started, one key skill that is at times underappreciated is emotional intelligence, which is essentially the skill of recognizing and managing your own emotions and the emotions of others around you. It's underappreciated because people don't realize how important it is. They also don't realize that according to studies, if you are somebody with a high level of emotional intelligence, it helps you become more successful in your life and in your career. Because imagine that being able to recognize and manage how you react to different situations in life. And in the
Mm.
same way, being able to recognize how people are feeling and finding the best possible way to manage around those situations and help those people. It's a very crucial skill to have. Another one would probably be communication skills. And people will probably say, well, because she teaches communication, or that's one of the core things that she trains on. But see, here's the thing. Regardless of what you know or what you've experienced in life, if you cannot effectively communicate your ideas or your perspectives or your knowledge on certain things, then how will you find greater success in your personal life and in your career? So it is important to hone your communication skills and to hone them in a way that make you effective, not just in speaking. I do want to clarify that, but also in listening. Also, because communication skills are many different things. It's listening, it's observing, and being able to communicate in response to what you observed. It's speaking, it's writing. So it's really different things that you have to hone under the umbrella of effective communication skills. And last but not least, a third one would probably be critical thinking skills. So if because as we navigate through life, there are many situations which require us to think critically, to make good decisions. And if we are able to have that foundation of good or effective critical thinking skills, then it will enable us to navigate through life's challenges even more easily. So I think that those three skills are able to target three very important things. Your critical thinking skills will, enhance your mind. Your emotional intelligence skills will, I would say, enhance the heart component, and your communication skills will enable you to communicate the things that you think about and the things that you feel and manage around that. So I think those are three things that can really help get people started.
That's actually a very good answer. I was wondering how you were going to answer it because you said it's changing. There's so many skills that we need. And my next question was actually answered already because you said, okay, so critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and communication skills. I agree with all three. And you see, it's a rapidly changing world.
Mhm.
So, like, my husband and I were just talking about this that the things we valued in the 80s, our parents, are not as important or not important at all now. So the jobs that they said you should have growing up, they're not the jobs that are available now. Some of them are not even there anymore. So it's a rapidly changing world and it's kind of hard to keep up. So what used to work then is different now. And AI is here. So what, you know, sometimes the skills that we were learning in school, the skills that we were told to develop aren't as valued. So when you said the three skills, I go, oh, those are really good. But how can people develop these skills even now? Like, especially since most of the time we're all in our houses and not really communicating with people because we're not going out anymore. And it's hard to learn emotional skills when you're not talking, facing people. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
That, yeah, it's a different world there.
Well, I think, Francis, generally speaking, there are certain ways in terms of how adults learn best. So I'd like to go back to that.
Yeah.
A part of it is through formal learning, and you can do this through books, through attending courses, and these are things that you can do at home because you can read books at home, you can attend online courses at home. But that's just a small chunk. A huge chunk of it is really being able to practice the different skills that you want to learn.
Yeah.
And well, I guess if you really, really, really want to practice a skill, then you will find a way to do it. Uh, I know that we're all, well, most of us are working from a hybrid setup, or most of us have been spending more time at home compared to the pre-pandemic. However, if you really want to practice a skill, then you will find common groups that enable you to do that. And there are some things that you can do online. I mean, just to give you a concrete example, I'm part of a Toastmasters club. For those who aren't familiar with Toastmasters, it's a communication and leadership skills organization. It's a nonprofit. So you join it to learn how to become a more effective communicator. At least that's what it does, or it's what most members go into the organization for. And some people go into leadership positions to practice their leadership skills. When I took on a position in Toastmasters last year, so I took on a role which it's called division director. It's actually the equivalent of something like a manager. And I was handling, I was assigned to be division director for Makati, so for the Central Business District. And there, I was working directly with a group of almost 20 volunteers. So these, most of them were, communicating with me directly, like reporting to me, and we were helping members in Makati with numbers of more than 400. So we were helping quite a number of people. I mean, that was the role that we had. That was the task that we had. And I mentioned this as an example because during my term, we only met twice face to face at the end of our term. So these people I was working with, they were also able to practice certain aspects of leadership skills, even though we were only meeting online and they were only working with different people online. So there are things that you can do. If you really want to practice a skill, it is possible. We find ways, and definitely experience is a huge chunk of how we learn. And by the way, I know that we were able to do this effectively because at the end of our term, because it's a fixed term position, at the end of our term, we were able to achieve the highest possible distinction that you can be granted for the work that you do. So I was like, oh yes, I'm so thankful for that. And again, we were only doing this online with the different clubs that we were working with. So I thought it was fantastic. The clubs also meet online, by the way. So those who really want to learn public speaking, they need to start somewhere, and they were able to do it online. So yes, there is a way if you really want to learn a skill. Let's backtrack. I mentioned formal learning strategies like reading books, attending workshops online. If you really want to do it online, but you can also go out, of course, and attend in-person workshops, because it's really, I find, to be quite effective, although online is really quite efficient. And then you can learn through experience. And the other thing also is through peer feedback or evaluation. I find that that's very important, because if you really want to learn and learn well, you don't just learn how to do things, but you get people who are more experienced to tell you what you're doing well at and what you can do differently next time. I hope that helps.
That's
Yes, it
nice. Yeah. So as a parent, Doreen, like I enrolled Zika actually in these sessions. They call it also like sort of like a Toastmasters kind of thing, no? Public, teaching them about public speaking. And I've seen the improvement, really. Like before, she couldn't fix her thought process. There was no thought process involved. But now she really fixes like the points, and then before she delivers something, and then what's nice is that she asks for feedback after. So it's very important that that happens in the conversation. So I'm curious to know. I'm sure like a lot of people, telling us these are the ways that you can actually learn or hone your skill. But for you, like, what do you do? Like, what's the learning process of Doreen?
Yeah.
Well, personally, I honestly like my space when I learn. So, for example, right now I'm taking an online course, and there were opportunities to like socialize with the other people who were part of the course. Like there were like online meetups. This is a course that's launched in the States. And I was thinking, do I stay up for that? Because of course meetups were happening at their time. It's like, nah, I'm happy learning at my own pace, and then applying it as I see fit later on, or having separate discussions with other people about principles that I'm learning. And maybe it's the introvert in me, because honestly, and what people don't realize is most of the time is that I'm an introvert. I have a slight preference for introversion. So I do need, well, I am very mindful of when I surround myself with like bigger groups, because I know that it also drains my social battery. But thankfully, because I'm in the business of being mindful and being self-aware and all of that, I'm able to also manage that. I think quite well to a certain degree, because in my line of work, I really work with groups all the time. But then I'm aware that after that, oh, I need to, like take a step back and have just a moment of silence to recharge my energy battery, so to speak. So yes, I like that space when I'm learning. I Okay, so this might come across as a bit strange, but I do have default music that I listen to when I have to get in the zone. Well, I'm sure everybody has that, but mine is the Harry Potter soundtrack. Know
So
why?
cute.
But it really works for me. I've been using it for years. Oh, it just makes me so effective in like it's what I use when I design training programs. And it's also what I use when I'm like reading a book. It just
Yeah.
puts me in the zone, and it helps me to just to think. So that's part of my strategy also. I need to put on that particular music, no words, just just having like an orchestra playing music for you. What else do I do? I do discuss principles with other people. Depending on what the principles are, I seek out certain people to discuss certain things. But yeah, I also enroll myself in courses. I read books. I talk to people. I ask for feedback as well. So I do practice that framework that I shared with you guys, because I know that's how I can also best help myself.
You practice what you preach. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, ako may tanong ako. Kasi everyone now has a brand.
Mhm.
And what made it easier for everyone to put themselves out there is social media.
Yeah.
So there are many platforms available, and you talk about building professional skills and learning. And we need marketing tips from you for everyone who wants to also build their skills, build their network. How do you market yourself?
Okay. How do I market myself? I think Francis that the best marketing tool, this may sound cheesy, but it's honestly doing a great job at what you do.
Mm,
I honestly think that's the best marketing tool. So before anything else, make sure that you are able to do a great job, and that just equip yourselves with the mindset, the attitude, and the skills that you need to do your work well, because nothing beats that. And people feel it, they sense it if you're really sincere at what you do and you love what you're doing.
mm,
So, apart from that, if I could add anything else, I think another key thing is to not necessarily put yourself out there on all platforms.
mm,
Find the platform that best works for you. I know, for example, in the work that I do, and for my personality, LinkedIn works well. And I'm very thankful that I was able to find a match for LinkedIn. I also do have, a Facebook a page rather, not just my personal profile, but a page. I also have a profile on Instagram, but my Instagram profile, for example, I've made it private. So it's not really a marketing tool that I use for myself. It's really more like sharing milestones and sharing a few personal things. So if somebody really is interested to find out more about me, then they can just, send me a follow request. But I would say that, yeah, it's definitely good to find a match between who your target audience is, what exactly do you want to put out there, and just find that intersection in terms of the social media platform that best suits that. I know for many now it's TikTok. So really, it just really depends on what works best for you and for what you need. Is there anything else? I have tried putting out ads as well, like especially when I was starting in consulting, and I didn't really have a lot of clients yet. I was thinking, what could be the best way of, putting my name out there? So I tried boosting some posts. I never bought followers, but I did boost posts, like as an ad. And and by the way, I don't recommend buying followers because it doesn't work effectively. I mean, yeah, you get the numbers right based on what I've heard, but it doesn't really add so much in terms of engagement. So it's not really recommended. So I tried boosting posts, for example, on Facebook, but I noticed that, okay, so it doesn't really translate to numbers either, like to sales in particular. So I realized, okay, so that's really not the best way of going forward. And that's why for me, it still goes back to the best marketing tool being you do a great job, you take it one step at a time. Don't, think that if you start working today, by next year, you're going to have all of the clients lined up for you and like wanting to work with you. It doesn't work that way. It does take time as well. You're super lucky if you catch a break after a few months, but for most people, that's not the way it works. And you really just have to set yourself up to believing that you will be able to get to that point where you will have a lot of clients, for example, especially if you work freelance like myself. Otherwise, it you will get disappointed if you believe that, hey, if I start doing this today, after a few months, I'll totally be okay. My work will be, or my business will be sustainable, because most of the time it doesn't work that way. But I hope that those tips that I shared are able to help our friends in marketing themselves.
Yes. Thank you for that, Doreen. So I'm sure like a lot of young people are watching right now. So maybe for our second to the last question, what are your advice for these young professionals? I know it's a really competitive market, and you've mentioned that there are a lot of retrenchments going around in the industry. So, what are your tips for them to stand out and to look for that job that they can stick with?
I think a lot of people make the mistake that they jump at the first opportunity that they think might be interesting. I think it's good to take a step back, regardless of how old you are, regardless if you're 21 or you're 40. Take a step back and first identify your purpose. Your purpose. Now, that's a huge thing. I know it's like, Doreen, I just want to, start earning. You're asking me to identify my purpose. But see, that's the thing. If you first take a step back and really identify what drives you, what is really truly important to you, and it's not about money, it's not about earning, it's being part of something bigger. It's a deeper sense of meaning that will help you navigate through your choices of job, through your everyday choices, even when things get tough in the day-to-day work life or personal life that you have. So yeah, I think it's important to first take a step back and think about your purpose. And yeah, I think that's one of the most important things that you can get started with. There are other things as well, like building your skills, building your network, but start with your purpose, because at the end of the day, that will really help you with a lot of different choices that will come your way throughout your life and your career.
Oh, wait. Is my mic working? Yes, it's working.
Yes.
Because I was going to ask you a question. The last one. Okay, so we're talking about purpose. And my kid was asking me, was telling me the other day, because he was asking, Mama, what was your job? Ganyan. So di matanda na ako. So marami na ako naging trabaho. And then he said, wow, you really like words. All your jobs had something to do with words, either writing or teaching or editing, like that. So di tama ka sa purpose. If you can get any job, but if it's, yeah, my purpose is to communicate, to write. So it's any job, whether it pays well or not. I was happy there. I felt like I was making a difference. So thank you for saying that that should be, because it sounds like when you say that, Doreen, you should find your purpose. Kahit ikaw na paano kay, oh, Doreen, bakit naman yun ang unang ano? Kasi tama eh. Parang it sounds like too big, but
Yeah.
it's actually true there. So anyway, let's go back to you. What are your future plans and goals for your career? And how do you plan to continue making an impact in your industry and a society as a whole?
It's really hard to answer about future goals, to be honest, Frances, but especially because when you're a consultant and you work for, well, on your own, no, you're essentially self-employed, and
Yeah.
it's so hard to lay out plans sometimes. It's even harder at times compared to working in a company and you're like, okay, in 10 years I want to be this position, because here it doesn't work that way. It's a little bit different. But one thing that I've realized is, see, the thing is, I really enjoy doing what I do. I think that's also what has made me stay in this work that I've been doing for a while. I really enjoy not just being able to help people improve their communication and people skills, their essential skills for success. I also enjoy learning about it. So I see that I will continue to do this for a while. Also, perhaps, yeah, continuing to find ways to grow in terms of my lineup of clients, because ultimately, who doesn't want to grow their business, right? So that's definitely something that I continue to aim to do. I've had the privilege of seeing how year on year the business that I've been doing has been growing, and I'm so thankful for that. I don't take that for granted because I know that not everybody gets that opportunity. Year after year, you see it continue to grow. So that is something that I plan to take care of and continue to find ways to just grow and develop and continue to find partnerships in terms of how I can best help my clients. If there's anything else apart from that, it's probably continuing to find ways to partner or collaborate with others. This is a great example of that, because I know that alone I can only do so much, but in collaborating with others, you get to reach even more. You get to touch even more lives. You get to help even more people. So it's really probably, yeah, continuous growth, not just the business, but also myself. Because if I don't grow, my business can't grow, because it's also dependent on my growth as a person, as an individual, and then finding ways to work with others even more or even better, so we can amplify the messages and help even more people with what I know and what I can share.
I love it. So the key word really is collaboration, no? So yeah, I when I was listening to you, it really like I think it's a good refresher to everyone that collaborating, building relationships, growing as a person are things that you should always look at doing
Mhm.
and constantly improve, no? Because yeah, the title of this episode is Embracing Change, because everything changes, diba? Every day the world changes, people change, you change as a person. So thank you so much, Doreen, for being our guest today. So if they want to reach you, where can they contact you?
Oh, they can look me up online.
Mhm.
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. I'm on Twitter as well, but I normally just use that to check
Yeah.
news. So
Me too.
Me
would be the
too.
best way to reach me. Yeah, that's how I get my news nowadays. It's through Twitter.
To
Uh,
Twitter, yeah.
yes, but
All
they
right.
can, yeah, they can just reach me through those other platforms and just send me a message.
All right. Thank you so much, Doreen. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye bye.